Production of Broad and High is funded in part by the Greater Columbus Arts Council, supporting arts, advancing culture, and connecting the community to artists, events, and classes at columbusmakesart.com.
This time on Broad and High. A marriage of fashion and design comes to the Columbus Museum of Art. A local holiday choir shares the beauty of sign language. And we'll explore an impressive collection of Christian artifacts at the Jubilee Museum in Franklinton. This and more right now on Broad and High. Hi everyone, welcome to Broad and High. I'm your host, Kate Quickle. The current exhibit at the Columbus Museum of Art explores the creative collaboration of fashion designer Isabel Toledo and artist Ruben Toledo, illustrating the story of their lifelong partnership in art, design, and love. Here's a peek.
We met in high school. We had an art class and we collaborated right away because I saw his hand. I met that hand, the ability to put down a thought, and I fell in love. And he'll say, I didn't fall in love with him, I fell in love with his art. Funny enough. And we've been working together ever since. The first thing that I always say is that I'm not an artist, that I am in the service of making clothes and working with fabrics and taking them to their limits and making women feel beautiful and just carry out an emotion that then I can have somebody communicate with. What I do is think artistic thoughts and then I put them to service because these garments have to work. The arms have to lift, and it's like an engineer, these things have to move with you. So unlike an artist that it can just be on a wall, mine have to work.
My work is very graphically strong. I think I'm like a caveman. I would just be drawing on the side of a cave, and I need to get stories out and graphic images out quickly. I like to treat canvas or paper in this case as a textile material. So each one is actually a full painting that's been woven together to create this new painting, which I then painted on top. So there's the idea that, first of all, there's all these layers you can't see behind it, but they're there. So there's a full story to the yellow spider web painting, and there's a full story to the pink orchid painting, and there's a full story to the brown leaves that you don't see. But when they're woven together, they make this new thing appear, right? And then I painted over that. So it is very much about treating art as a woven, it's the fabric of society, And the sum of all parts is more important than what's behind there.
Couture is a dress made by an artist. So that tells you everything, because you can have mass production and it's never touched by the artist. In my world, I still make everything in my studio in New York, which is rare, and I've never left. We have a great team of maybe 15 people. I learned to sew from a babysitter, and I fell in love with it. I just fell in love with sewing. Sewing is really my love. And I ended up doing an internship at the Metropolitan Museum when Diana Vreeland was at the Met. And that's when I knew, wow, this is a medium that I have something to say. Fashion is what history looks like. When you think of an era, you think of how people are dressed. And I thought, I want to have something to do with my time.
And this we might move over. Well, I came from Cuba when I was a kid, when I was 5 or 6, and I was very lucky to grow up in Manhattan, in New York, in the most glorious time, I think, which was late 60s, early to mid 70s. While I was in high school, I started to work in Manhattan already. Different places like Fiorucci and Unique Clothing Warehouse. It was a fashion and art crossover that was very heavy at the time, poetry and music and dance. And Isabel was making costumes at the same time. We were still 15 or 16. And so that was a pretty incredible education. I met people like Keith Haring, Basquiat, and Kenny Scharf, and filmmakers like Almodovar, and people like Halston and Lena Horne, and musicians. And it was a pretty amazing time.
The silhouette is because I too love shape, and I react to a lot of Rubens shapes. So it's a dialogue that we have with one another.
People assume you have to be similar to work together. It's all about the friction for us. It's about the fact that we are always clashing, and that cross-pollination is important because it makes both of our separate artworks richer.
Even now when I'm in here, I start seeing the patterns speak to one another. I'm looking at this painting here, and you look at the lines on that dress, and they mimic. And I can tell you we did not think of that. That's the beauty of living with an artist, because it's a constant communication. And as long as there's respect, then you know that's your work and this one's mine. You know when to feed and then pull back.
Again, I think we're spoiled. We grew up as kids in this rich stew that is Manhattan, where it didn't matter what age and sex and color and financial background you came from. What mattered was what you had to give to the soup, to the stew. What was your ingredient that was unique, you know?
I always say labor is health. When you work, you're healthy. You know, it's like the river, you run, you're on a flow. And that's something that we're constantly doing. We love what we do, and we do it all the time, and we bring people along to do it with us.
Bodies at Work is on view through June 18th at the Columbus Museum of Art. Visit columbusmuseum.org for details. There's a choir in town that believes you don't actually have to hear jingle bells to enjoy the sounds of the holiday season. So they're spreading Christmas cheer through the beauty of sign language. Have a look.
Signs of Christmas started 36 years ago. It was just a small group of people in the Holy Cross Lutheran Church for the Deaf, just signing along songs to church services led by their pastor at the time, Pastor Lieber. He got the idea that maybe it would be a good idea to take that on the road, and they started to go out into the public with their group. And here we still are going today, 36 years later.
I would say I've been a member for 6 years in Signs of Christmas.
Our group is so varied. We have people who are learning sign language, so they're either in a program at a college, they have a family member who is deaf, they know a deaf person from church that maybe they've got interested in sign language that way. We have sign language teachers, we have grandmothers and granddaughters, we have people who've been around for all of the 36 years who don't do anything with sign language in their daily life. This is just where they get it from. The rehearsal process is that I teach you what you need to know. So I take the song and break it down into the language, and then sign by sign by sign by sign, teach it, and then we run through and run through and run through. A good majority of the folks you see here don't really know sign language, like in real life. They learned it here.
This is what I do every year. It's not part of my job, it's not part of, I don't have a lot of deaf friends, but I get to do this. The voice choir doesn't take me, so I perform with these people, and it's lovely.
So American Sign Language, such a diverse, culturally full, beautiful language. It's not like English, so when you're hearing the lyric to the song, the sign you see does not necessarily match the word that you're hearing because it has its own grammar separate from English. We do play with the language a little bit because we want to make it big and pretty when necessary, but we shoot for meaning equivalents to the song that we are performing. It's not word for word. The language isn't like that, but the meaning is there. Whatever the meaning is of the song, it's represented by the language, by the body language, the facial expression, the emotion behind it.
Well, I can't hear the music, so I follow Andrea and her signs. I copy her. I can't hear the words, but I can feel the beat, especially on the faster songs. It's really difficult, and so I really have to focus on Andrea so that I can know where we are at with the music. And I know the lyrics in my mind, so I keep those going at the same time.
It's a process to translate a song into American Sign Language. And not just to translate it into American Sign Language, but translate it in a way that a group of 40 can perform it all at the same time. This is an exhausting project, and we get very tired and we lose some of our steam. So my big main job in front is to look like a crazy person and with big overexpressed facial expressions to make sure that they keep their energy up through the whole entire show, which is why I'm always very tired at the end of a show. Our mission statement, and the reason we do what we do and have done for so many years, is that we want to spread Christmas cheer, obviously, because that's what we are, but we also want to expose the community, the public, to the beauty that is American Sign Language. If we can give you the Christmas spirit, plus a little added bonus of being exposed to a different culture, that's our goal every year.
Learn more about the Signs of Christmas and view their annual holiday performance schedule by visiting their webpage, signsofchristmas.org. Our next story follows one man's journey from cancer patient to cancer survivor to hat-making hero. This is the story of the Ohio State Pelotonia cycling cap.
When you hear you have cancer, it's one of the worst things that a human can hear. It's coming to take your life. And if you're not willing to dig your heels in and fight with everything you have and use every resource that you can, then it will claim you. My name is Jason Schultz, and this is my story. I believe it was a Wednesday or Thursday back in June of 2012. They've discovered there's a large growth. One of the team leads was Dr. Matthew Old, Matty. He just happened to be on that line. He just happened to be a head and neck cancer surgical specialist, just happened to be like the one person that needed to be there was there. He said, I'm very sorry, man, but you've asked me to be point blank blunt with you, and this is where we're at. Stage 4 nasopharyngeal carcinoma. If we don't get you in treatment ASAP, then you are not going to be around to see your daughters grow up. But when you have to sit down and tell your children, Dad may not make it out of this. And that's kind of what finally made me swear, if I make it out of this, how, I don't know, if I make it out of this, I will pick a fight with cancer. I am not a writer. I don't have a lot of money to donate, but I'm an artist and I can make things. I made this cap, and my hopes for the cap, I hope the cap funds the last dollar needed to find a cure for something that's used on some awesome child or person somewhere, and we can end cancer. truly, I believe I would not be here were it not for the great support system from Maddie and the awesome team at the James and my beautiful family. In my own proverbial way, we're fighting back. Like, I looked around and it was like, what did you just do? Like, you just somehow made a cap, got it produced, got it out here and sold, and wow, what did you just do? It was very gratifying. Cancer picked a fight with me, and I win.
Pelotonia is a weekend-long cycling event to raise money for cancer research, and so far it has raised more than $100 million. Learn how you can get involved by visiting pelotonia.org. Clintonville resident Wolfgang Parker had been a fixture in the local music scene before putting down his mic and picking up a pen to write and illustrate a series of books for young readers. His 8-year-old superhero solves mysteries around Clintonville with his team of cat detectives.
I have 19 nieces and nephews who all live out of state. And I wrote the first Crime Cats book for them as a holiday gift. Crime Cats is a series of children's mystery novels for ages 8 to 12. They take place in Columbus, and they're about an 8-year-old superhero who solves mysteries with the help of his 2 cat detective partners. Those cats are named Cat Bob and Neil Higgins. "Down here, child," the voice called. Jonas followed the voice down to a one-eyed cat that squatted before him. "You," he gasped. "You can talk?" "Not to my knowledge," Neil answered. "At least I've never verbally communicated with a human before. But somehow you can understand me." The books delve into obscure Columbus history. So the second book, The Duesenberry Curse, it is about the fact that Columbus was once home to the largest amusement park in America. And the newest book, The Deadly Scarab, explores Columbus's real-life connection to the unearthing of King Tut's tomb. I chose the cats to write about for my nieces and nephews because I go on walks through the neighborhood almost daily, and I have made friends with all of these indoor-outdoor cats. And so when I was trying to think of something to write about for my nieces and nephews, I thought I'd like to share something personal that I normally would never make any art about. I've been a musician, a recording artist, I guess, for the last roughly, 20 years. We recorded the very first punk swing album, and the remnants of that band is now a band called Weedhaven Laughing Academy. I'm kind of experiencing now, at the age of 40, like a rebirth artistically, both as a writer now and as a musician as well. But writing for kids was not something that I ever aspired to. It wasn't something I set out to necessarily do. I did not know how to lay out a book. I had to learn to do that. I hadn't drawn in 20 years, so I had to kind of practice to start drawing again. My main concern was writing something for my nieces and nephews. I wanted to impart wisdom to them that would help them develop as people. And I wanted to give them a kind of pointers and insight into interacting with cats, because I cannot discount the effect that cats have had in my life, which I know sounds like weird and corny, but it's true. My cat Sasha appears in this newest book, in the third book, and I gave her a little cameo in that because I was afraid that if she found out that she was not in any of the books, that I would have an accident going down the stairs one morning. In the back of each of the Crime Cats books, there's a section called Cat Clues, and cat clues are helpful tips to make you a better cat friend. And so this is one way of, for kids and adults to maybe set off on the right foot, or paw, as it were, to create a more enriching experience and relationship with cats in their life.
Wolfgang Parker recently released his 4th book in the Crime Cat series. Heavy Metal Pizza Party is an activity book with coloring pages, crossword puzzles, mazes, and word searches. Visit crimecatsbooks.com to learn more. The Jubilee Museum in Franklinton holds an impressive collection of Catholic and liturgical artwork that is among the biggest in the United States. But it's got so much more than just altars and vestments and stained glass windows. This feature barely brushes the surface.
The museum is located in the old Holy Family High School and grade school buildings on South Grub Street, right along 315. It's a very lively place with about 22 rooms filled with all manner of things from Catholic history, as well as some Jewish items and Protestant things. It started as a small project in 1998. Every parish was doing something for the Jubilee year. The year 2000 was the millennium and the second millennium since the birth of Christ. So that was a big deal in the church. And I'd been a little bit of a collector, so I thought, well, let's just do a little retro look backwards and look at our history in the diocese. And it's grown to something far larger than I ever imagined. We have been told by Cardinal Marcassano, God rest his soul, he died about a year ago, but he said we were the largest in the United States with a diversified collection. Now, if you go to Notre Dame University, they have the largest collection of bishops' items. The University of Dayton has the largest collection of nativity scenes in the country. This year they've loaned us 2 of them. But our collection is the largest diversified, so if you'd find it in a church, you'll likely find it here.
The museum, it offers a very diverse collection of art, from oil paintings to Bibles going back, 14, 15, 1600s, to altars. One of the largest altar companies in the United States was in Cincinnati, Ohio. It was just German immigrants. They came over and they knew how to carve. So we show those altars off, and there's a piece behind me here that you'll see later. Was carved here in Columbus, right on Spring Street. And on the back it says the guy's name. He's from Germany, and it was from a church in Akron that we recently saved. We have the Franz Meyer stained glass windows here from St. Vincent's Orphanage, which were about as good as it gets. They were just the Steinway of stained glass windows.
Some rooms, there's things that are funny. There's other things that bring a tear to your eye. You're going to get a real mix. There's a traditional Catholic school classroom set up, and in other rooms you'll find, for instance, a Bible we have that's the first Bible ever printed by a woman, printed in 1558 in Paris. Our oldest book is a 1501. It's an altar missal with the prayers of the Latin Mass in it. But that book was on the altar in use when Christopher Columbus was still walking around and Michelangelo was still painting. We have about 40 works by Sadeo Watanabe, an Asian artist who has created many beautiful works that depict Old and New Testament scenes.
The Vatican actually owns 10 of his pieces, and they're hanging right outside the Sistine Chapel. So right now, our nativity display, we have a scavenger hunt, and everybody can go through and count the nativities in each room.
There are over 200 nativity scenes, and the most unusual this year is on loan to us from Dayton. It's a cardboard nativity set, and when you hear cardboard, you're going to immediately have an image in your mind that's pretty awful. But when you see this thing, you look at it in almost disbelief that that's made out of cardboard. That's the largest, and the most interesting one that everybody wants to see is the walnut. We have a little walnut that has a baby Jesus on one side and 3 kings in the other. So we have a lot of them to look at.
So here at the museum, we have 3 pipe organs on permanent display. And downstairs here on the first floor, we have a little funeral parlor organ. Obviously in the 1920s, if you wanted an organ, it had to be a pipe organ. So this organ was from a funeral parlor, Wisconsin, and just a little guy, 3 ranks, but it's nice because people can actually see inside the pipes and how it functions.
We have the case removed from them so you can see the inner workings. The kids watch them start up and the bellows rise, and you turn on the tremolo and the bellows will shake like that. Then, you know, you play it and you're pointing to the different pipes that are making sounds. They're kind of intrigued by it.
Well, that's our show. You can see all of today's stories at WOSU.org and, of course, on our mobile app. Be sure to check us out on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We're closing the show today with a tune by local singer-songwriter Colin Gowell called Still Love Christmas. Thanks for watching. We'll see you back here next week on Broad and High.
Out in the backyard, it's the same one you and me we used last year. I want you to know I still love Christmas. I want you to know the spirit is near. I want you to know I still love Christmas, even if I don't show it this year.
Production of Broad and High is funded in part by the Greater Columbus Arts Council, supporting arts, advancing culture, and connecting the community to artists, events, and classes at columbusmakesart.com.